Hey everyone, here are my top 10 things that I wish I knew before starting the game. Monster Hunter Wilds has been absolutely incredible, and there is a ton of stuff that the game introduces to you over time. So let's go through some of the stuff I wish I knew before we actually start playing. So tip number 1 is actually about Gemma the Smithy, and this is because when you're going through her list of gear and weapons, she will actually recommend armor and weapon upgrades based on your progression in the game. This means that her advice can actually save you time and a lot of resources, so just check in with her periodically to help you stay ahead of the curve. She even gives you a bit of advice at some point in the game where she says if you're dying, it's time to upgrade your armor, and if hunts are taking too long, it's time to upgrade your weapon. This is very helpful while flying through the campaign because you can then know when you need to upgrade your armor if you're taking a lot of damage and actually starting to die, and if your hunts are taking 20 minutes, that's time to upgrade your weapons. So Gemma is just overall a fantastic character because of those recommendations. Tip number 2 is about the support desk, because you can get a lot of bonus items from this. So you want to make sure you always visit the support desk because, like I said, there are a bunch of packs where we get a lot of free items. For example, if you played the open beta test, you'll then get the open beta test packs, and this is where you'll go to claim them. There's also some free DLC items in the store as well. If you're on console or Steam, just go and claim those items. You can then pick them up here at the support desk, so you can get tons of cool items. There is also a section on limited bounties, where at the start of the game you already have 2 out of the 4 unlocked. You'll have to get some progress in the game to get the other 2, but as you're progressing through, you can then collect these materials and items as well, which is a big help for your progress in the game. Now, tip number 3 is about your item pouch. I know a lot of you probably won't like this because it takes some time out of hunting and the campaign, but preparation is definitely key when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds. So you need to take the time to actually organize and create an item pouch loadout tailored to your hunt. You don't have to actually do this specifically for every hunt, but you can do this for just a generalistic item pouch. So you want to make sure you have enough potions, which is just your normal potion and your mega potion. You want then status cleansing items. You want to make sure you have drinks of the weather, such as an example for cold drinks and hot drinks. You'll want to make sure you also have the slinger ammo. For example, with the Doshagumas in a pack, with the Alpha Doshaguma and the 2 Doshaguma, you want to make sure you have like a large dung pod that you can fling there and separate the pack. It just helps you prepare having a generalized item loadout. So you prepare and you're going to have a successful hunt every time. Now, talking about preparing, tip number 4 is about cooking meals. And you don't just want to rely on your recommended meals, because when you're cooking, you can obviously get a bunch of different buffs to your health, your stamina, and also just to your character in general. Now, why I'm saying you shouldn't rely on recommended meals when cooking is because if you use the custom meal option, you can then create the perfect stat boosting meal for your needs. For example, you can then pick between fish or meat and see what those stat bonuses do. For example, you can then pick between like cheese and mushrooms. The mushrooms are really good because they then use up less stamina when you're using stamina actions, which is fantastic for using a weapon like the bow. So you want to make sure you're actually picking the correct ingredients to give your build and weapons the best buffs going into a hunt. This will also then help you discover which are the best ingredients for future meals as well, because then you're like, oh yes, I need this material, and while you're adventuring through the game you find it, you make a conscious effort to actually go and collect it, which is just going to help you in the long run. Tip number 5 is don't stress over early game farming. It's very easy in Monster Hunter to keep farming the same creature until you get the armor sets completed, and that is a very good trap in the early game. The early game monsters are quite easy and you're progressing through, you're going to start to want to collect things, but most of the grind actually comes later when you're facing those higher tier monsters. Just focus on enjoying the story and learning the mechanics first. Don't worry about farming for better items right at the start of the game, because they're going to get very much outdated very quickly. Tip number 6 is multiplayer, and this one is very controversial because of the way to do it, and this is why I wish I knew beforehand. To hunt together with other players, you need to form a link party and start the quest. Each player will then watch the cutscenes and story elements first, and then you'll finally get an invite which is sent out to everyone automatically to join the hunt together. It's very weird, and I wish it was just a join the lobby and everyone can watch the cutscenes together and just play the game, but unfortunately it is not like that. Remember, you want to use a link party, then start the quest when everyone's in there, and everyone will watch the cutscenes and stuff in their own instance, and then get an invite to join for the hunt. Tip number 7 is about resource collection. And collecting resources in Monster Hunter is very vital because during the campaign and during story moments, it can be tough to gather these resources because of the way the sacred is and you can't get out of like a certain range of the characters. But don't worry because you do have plenty of time to actually prepare and explore the world and hunt down those materials that you need in between the story beats of the game. So don't skip this because you can literally just chill and go and get all the resources that you need. Tip number 8 is about limited time events, and this is not in the game at the moment at launch, but they will start appearing a week after release. You can actually pick up limited time event quests from Alma once they have been released into the game, and these quests will often offer unique rewards, so you definitely don't want to miss these once they're in the game. In fact, I'll even cover them on the channel so you guys know exactly what to do when the limited events start coming into the game. Okay, so tip number 9 is about the sacred control settings. So if you press up on the D-pad, if you're using a controller, your sacred will enter auto explore mode and just go straight to the objective and just go around doing its own thing. If you press down, however, it will then switch to manual mode, and this is where you have a little bit more control on exactly where your sacred goes. Now, to make it even better, what you should do is head into the options menu, then go to page 2 and you'll see the option called Sacred Manual Controls. You want to go onto that section there and change it from type 1 to type 2. This will then ensure that your sacred stops when you stop moving, giving you much better control and accuracy with the sacred, which a lot of players will benefit from overall. Now tip number 10 is about upgrading your Palico gear. You can actually forget about your Palico very easily just because it's always there in the background. But upgrading your Palico gear can actually make a huge difference in battle because a well-equipped Palico, for example, can apply status effects to monsters and even turn the tide of a hunt where you might be close to dying and all of a sudden the monster is then paralyzed because of the Palico's weapon, or even apply different status effects if that's what you really want. Obviously, you can just change your Palico and have a good build depending on what you need and want for your hunt, but just don't leave your Palico behind in terms of gear because it's going to help you overall doing that. Well guys, that's my 10 tips, and hopefully you'll be now ready to take on Monster Hunter Wilds, and you should have a better time at the start of the game because of these things that I've shared with you. I hope the different settings things and the tips about cooking help you massively because they really are a game changer. And yeah, I just appreciate you watching this video, so thank you all for watching. Please click the like button below and subscribe. I have got a public Discord where I'm trying to get as many Monster Hunter players in there so we can all collaborate together and play the game and do some really cool hunts together. So you can find the link to that in the description of this video, so make sure you join and come say hey and hang out with us playing Monster Hunter Wilds. Anyway guys, until the next video, I'll see you again in the future. Take care. Peace.